A Bullet in the Ballet by Caryl Brahms and S.J. Simon. Abridged and read by David Rumelle. A Bullet in the Ballet. Episode 5. Inspector Quill's investigation in the Petrushka murder is reaching its fruition as he prepares himself for an arrest.
"Go away," said Stroganoff, not too hopefully. "Shan't keep you a moment," said Quill, and followed him into the office. "Whiskey and soda?" "There isn't any," said the experienced Quill. "No," said Stroganoff. "All right, then we have Russian tea. Please don't trouble," said Quill. "I want," said Stroganoff, enunciating carefully into the telephone, 3 spoonfuls of the best Souchon. You will add the citron. Cut me tremens. Russian tea," said the curt voice. "Oak." This weighty matter satisfactorily settled, Stroganoff sat back in his chair and beamed at Quill. He was himself again. "Good morning," he said. "You have come to thank me for my lac de scene, no?" "I'm afraid," said Quill, "I'm here to investigate Paluk's death." "Still?" said Stroganoff, astonished. "You told me yesterday," said Quill, "that you went up on the balcony in the last act. Who was on the balcony when you arrived?" Any doubts that Quill felt that Stroganoff might not have seen Pavel up there vanished with the question. It took the impresario fully 2 seconds to answer, and then he said he could not remember. "But you remember seeing Apelsine from the front?" "Oui, and you remember going up on the balcony?" "Certainement, and Apelsine was not there." "No, but who was there?" "Me," said Stroganoff cleverly. "And who else?" There was a knock at the door. "Ah," said Stroganoff, "the tea." But it was Stanley. For the first time in his record, Stroganoff was pleased to see him. Quill could deal with that easily. He winked at Stanley. "Go away," he said, and Stanley, delighted, made stealthily for the door. "Now," he turned back to his task, "will you tell me who you saw on the balcony?" "Mais passons, then I will tell you." Stroganoff crumpled, but only slightly. "If you know," he said defiantly, "why you ask?" There was a knock at the door. "Ah," said Stroganoff, "the tea." But it was Putik, come to complain that Pavel was dancing Petrushka that night. "When I danced Petrushka so magnificently yesterday," he explained, "I say to myself, I'm superb. Surely our wise director Stroganoff will now see that I must dance the part, but you are still blind. You have given him to Pavel, who danced even worse than Anton." To Quill's surprise, Stroganoff did not seem annoyed. With extraordinary gentleness he put an arm around the old man's shoulders, led him to the door, and pushed him out in Russian. "That one, he was a great dancer, a great artist," he began hopefully. "If you like, I'll tell you his history." But even as Quill tried to prevent the launching, the door opened again. The new arrival was well built, but not well dressed. He had magnificent shoulders and a yellow polo sweater. He was already talking. "I have been inspired with the most colossal idea that ever happened to anybody," he announced to the unintroduced Quill. "Sit down, have a cigarette," said Stroganoff. "I present you to Monsieur Quill. He is a great lover of the ballet and also a policeman. For you, Monsieur Quill," he said in ringing tones, "you have the pleasure to meet the choreographer of the future, Nicholas Nevarshina, whose work you must learn to love, though, alas, it takes time and much money. We will now listen to his new idea." "It is superb," said the choreographer of the future. "I tell you, but first you change me small échec." "No," said Stroganoff. "All right," said Nevarshina, not noticeably disappointed. "I still tell you. The morning I find a paper on the bus, and I notice that the red shirts, they are angry, and the black shirts, they are angry too. All the nations, all the politics, it is shirts. Very well, I decide. We will make the symbolic ballet with many shirts." "How many shirts?" asked Stroganoff apprehensively. "Not many," said Nevarshina. "Say 4 dozen." 2 dozen, bartered Stroganoff. "They would be of aluminium. There would be 7 scenes and an apotheosis. All the best composers, they shall write the score. Stravinsky, Ravel, Prokofiev. Never will the world see a ballet like it." "Never shall they see it," agreed Stroganoff. "But it is colossal. It ruined me." There was a pause. "All right," said Nevarshina. In that case, I ask you a favour. Now that you have saved the expense of production, you change me small cheque. No. All right, said Navajo philosophically. He turned to Quill. Perhaps you change it? No, said Quill. All right, said Navajo, and went. That one, said the ever-hopeful Stroganoff, is a great artist too. If you like, I tell you his story. But Quill had had quite enough of this. On the contrary, he said, you will tell me that you saw Pavel on the balcony. Stroganoff leapt to his histrionic feet. The scoundrel, he was there! Then I find him too. Have a heart, said Quill. There's no point in keeping this up. I have several witnesses who saw him up there. Stroganoff abandoned his amateur theatricals and looked annoyed. Inspector Detector, he snapped, you should have told me this before, then I not tried to lead you round the gooseberry bush. Then why did you try it? But it is simple, said Stroganoff. If I tell you that I see Pavel on the balcony with a gun, you think that Pavel shoot Anton, and then maybe you arrest him, no? And who should dance Petrushka on Wednesday week before Benoit himself if he come? You say, poof, it is not important. You are the police, or you desire someone to hang, but me, I am an artist and businessman. But if Pavel murdered Paluk, what does it matter who killed Anton? He is dead, and we must find another dancer for Petrushka, and that is Pavel. So I decide I tell you nothing to Wednesday week. After that, I say I hide nothing no longer, even though it mean I have to find a new dancer. I tell the police everything. Expressed like that, Quill felt this was really rather handsome of him. But, said Stroganoff, you'll find out and everything is lost. Please, he looked at Quill appealingly. You do me a favour, no? You do not arrest Pavel till after Wednesday week. It is not certain that we shall arrest him at all, said Quill, and if you are wise, you will not mention the matter to Pavel. It might, he added cunningly, upset his dancing. To this, Stroganoff nodded judiciously. You are right, mon cher, he agreed. He is not as calm as I am. At the yard, Quill was informed that his chief wanted to see him. Quill was not amused. Sit down, said the cold voice behind the desk. It did not say, whiskey and soda. It did not inquire, you have slept well, no? But at least it did not expect him to drink Russian tea. I've been reading over your scanty reports, said the snarl, and it seems to me that it ought to be a fairly simple case. I almost envy you working amid that fascinating background. It reminds me, said the snarl, suddenly human, of the St. Petersburg pearls case, when I took the divine Harrienskaya out to supper. Who? Said Quill, startled. It was before your time, said the snarl condescendingly. She was a famous dancer and very, very beautiful. Mind you, she had a will of her own. She still has, said Quill. But alas, she is no longer so beautiful. She's with the Stroganoff Company now, he explained. The snarl was suddenly interested. They're giving Petrushka tonight, said Quill. You have seen Petrushka, no? The snarl looked startled at such curious English. Not for ages, he admitted boyishly. Book me 2 seats for tonight. No, 1 seat. Now, what have you to report, if anything? Sir, said Quill, I would like to apply for a warrant for the arrest of Pavel Bunya of the Stroganoff Company. Mais, mon cher, said Stroganoff for the 15th time. Very sorry, said Quill for the 16th time. But you promised that you do not make the arrest until after Wednesday week. Sorry, said Quill. And now you will not even wait until after the performance tonight. You are frightened that he escape. But that, said Stroganoff, is stupid, imbecile. He is on stage all the time. He will not go until he take his curtains, and when he come off, poof, you catch him. Quill began to feel sorry for the old boy. After all, he reasoned, what did it really matter if he postponed the arrest? And he was certainly likely to get Pavel away with less fuss and trouble if he waited till after the performance. All right, he said, I agree. After the performance. The great British public did not, as Stanley prophesied, refuse to stand for a second performance of Petrushka so close on the heels of the tragedy. Indeed, they stood for hours in talkative serried ranks. By 8:15 the house was almost packed. There was a curdling of mothers, a hesitancy of fathers, an edging away of critics, all society, all the intelligentsia. The only notable addition this evening was Quill's chief, the snarl, miraculously transformed into a blush behind a bunch of orchids. "Arr!" shrilled a voice as he puffed his way laboriously across the foyer. "It is my old friend Jellybags!" It was Arienskaya, resplendent in a Spanish shawl from good-humoured ladies, a Russian tiara from the Firebird, and an ostrich egg pearl necklace, Scheherazade, and the red silk evening dress, her own. The snarl blushed deeper and bent gallantly to kiss her hand. It only just managed it. "You have got fat," said Arienska frankly. "You, madame, are more fascinating than ever," announced the snarl, getting into its stride and presenting the orchids with a portly flourish. Arienskaya pounced on them with a shrill cry of ecstasy. Her pleasure gratified the blush. It was not so gratified, however, to observe Quill standing a few yards away and looking every bit as pleased. He became definitely annoyed when Arienskaya beckoned Quill over, and it was a last straw when she introduced him. "This," she said proudly, "is Monsieur Jellybags. His other name I forget." "I know it," said Quill. "He and I were very good friends," began Arienskaya with unusual delicacy, "but that long time ago. I do not think he is so good in bed now," she finished, making up for it. "Not at all," declared the blush, too confused to know exactly what it was it wanted to deny. Quill could not remember when he had enjoyed himself so much. "And now you will come with me to my box, and you will see that no ballerina today can dance like I danced once." The snarl came quietly. Up in the Star's dressing-room, Pavel was giving a display of that temperament that had endeared him to so many of his enemies. He cursed the solicitous Appelsine, he cursed his wigmaker, he cursed the London weather, and, just for luck, he cursed Stroganoff. The call-boy put an end to this. Pavel applied the finishing touches to his face and made his way down to the stage. The curtain would be up in a few minutes. Rubinska was already in her booth, and Nevajno, who had secured the role of the Moor, was entering his. Pavel scowled at them both impartially, entered his booth, and settled into his armrest to await his cue. Judge then of the crack in his perilous calm, caused by the strong smell of brilliantine and volti subito, the conductor. The conductor's face smiled evilly at him around the canvas edges of the puppet booth. "Hello, big boy," said Volti. Every inch the villain. "So this is your great chance, eh? Oh, only not while I'm conducting." As the orchestra broke into the opening bars, even Stroganoff sensed that this evening, though financially a good thing, was unlikely to prove an artistic success. "That one, I sack him," muttered Stroganoff, as Volti Subito passed a hand over his hair, straightened his tie, and flicked a wrist vaguely in the direction of the big drum. "This is like old times," said the snarl fondly to the stupefied Arienskaya. On the stage, the organ grinder churned out his tune. The street dancers went slickly through their routine. From the balcony, the gypsies threw coins at them. From behind the curtains steps the magician. He pipes a wily tune on a reed. The flautist, oblivious, 2 bars behind him. The curtains part, and lo! The puppets loll inanimate in their cells. Rubinska, eager in her stillness, the Moor, Nevajno, obviously thinking of something else, and Petrushka, his face so quiet it might have been a mask. Beep, beep, goes the flute, and the Moor, abandoning the problem he is working on, springs jerkily into life. Beep, beep. Rubinska is on her points. Beep, beep. Petrushka still lolls inanimate. "What did I tell you?" said the balletto medico with satisfaction. "He's missed his cue." "Beep, beep," went the flute again, a trifle impatiently. But Petrushka took no notice of his master. He was huddled in his cell. A dark stain was beginning to appear on the side of his white clown's tunic. The magician took a step forward, touched gingerly, and withdrew, gazing fascinated at the hand that was red and wet. The crowd swept forward. "Curtained!" screamed Arienskaya from her box. Pavel was dead. He'd been shot through the back in line with his heart. Death, whenever it had been administered, must have been instantaneous. Quill looked at the body. The company, silent, stood around in small groups. The snarl came hurrying over, behind him Arienskaya and Stroganoff. Speechlessly they ranged themselves beside Quill. It was Stroganoff who broke the silence. "What a pity," he said. "Just as you were going to arrest him, too."